Looking for affordable family entertainment and yet another way to see stars in the Smokies? I have the place for you. Welcome to Smoky Mountain Secrets. All right, so we are here with Brandon Joint of Newport Cinema 4. Thank you so much for having us, Brandon.
Appreciate you coming out today.
I really have just grown up around this theater and really this cinema, and I really feel like the whole community rallies around this in a fun way. It's where everybody comes to see the movies, and everybody. I remember coming here and seeing people, everybody that we know in line. It's like, oh, did you see that movie? Did you see that movie next? What does it mean to kind of be that place for the community?
Well, I mean, the theater originally opened in the mid-90s, 95, 96, and people have been coming here for years, and people have grown up, you know, like their childhood movies were spent here, and now these are adults and they're bringing their kids here. So it's really, the theater is just old enough that it's become generational, which is a really cool thing. So it's a huge part of the community. We're involved in all sorts of things in the community. So that's kind of
yeah, that's cool. Well, and you are very active in the community. I know everybody appreciates that. And so were you always wanting to get into the cinema business? How did that come about?
Actually, yes. From the time I was a small child, I remember going up to the ticket box office window, and there was some lady there, and she sold us our tickets to, I think it was 101 Dalmatians. And I was a young child then. And from that moment, I always wanted to grow up and be the person that sold tickets at a movie theater. So this was literally my childhood dream. And when I was a teenager, I got my first job in a movie theater, and I worked my way up through that company and worked there for about 10 or 12 years, and then moved down here to Tennessee and opened this location.
Wow, that is awesome. So why Tennessee? Why Newport? Or how did that happen, I guess?
Well, part of my job that I did with the company I worked for before, which that company actually dissolved. The owner had passed away and the family was coming in. It was being sold off, and so the company was dissolving. But part of my job was to look for new acquisitions inside of that company. So I would go do demographic studies, and do like just sustainability studies, like is this location, what's it going to take to get a location open? Is it sustainable? How much money do we think it'll make? So I'd run projections and stuff like that for the company I worked for back then. And this theater actually came across the list because it had closed originally in the end of 2010, and then it was closed all of 2011. And so this theater had come up, and my boss at the time actually sent me down here to do a study on this location. So, and he, when I brought my findings back to him, he said, well, this theater is not sustainable. I said, oh, it absolutely is. So we were very much disagreeing over it. But at that point in time, the company we both worked for was also in the process of dissolving. So I told him, you know, so we talked about doing it as a joint venture originally, and he didn't like the location, and I loved it. So, and my wife and I used to come down here and vacation and stuff anyway. And that's kind of, I told him, I was like, look, man, if you're not interested, I said, I'm interested and I think I'm gonna do it anyway. He said, go ahead, man, you know, yeah, and it's been great working with you. And and I came here. So
wow, that's amazing. So you believed, you know, you
Absolutely.
Believed in it, and 10 years later.
The selling point for me actually on this particular location was a conversation I had in a gas station with a cashier.
Really?
Yes. I've actually never told anybody that before. Like that.
So you're like, would you go to the movie theater, or what does that look like?
Yeah, I walked into the gas station across the street up here, and I walked in and said, hey man, what do you think about the movie theater? And like, do you think people will go and all this stuff? And he was just going on and on about like how much the community had loved it, and like how big of a deal it would be if it came back, if it got opened again. And so we had this big conversation about it. And of course I'd driven around the community and stuff, and I talked to other people, but that particular conversation I know it's not super scientific, but that conversation was actually the one that solidified for me, like, this is where I'm going.
That is so cool. It's just boots on the ground. Yes. Yeah. Well, even anecdotally, I remember when it shut down, and then we were talking before filming, and it was like, how long was the theater closed? Like 5 years? And you're like, no, it was like 14 months.
Not even 12. No, 14. Yeah, it was 14 months.
And
14 months.
I'm thinking, I was like, that just shows how long it felt like to us, because we had to drive to
It left a hole in the community.
Yeah.
So when people need a place to go. People are always looking for entertainment, and that takes various forms. You know, people go for walks for entertainment. They go to concerts. People are always looking for an out of home experience, and I'm sure we'll talk more about that later, because there's all sorts of there's more in-home experience things that you can do now. But even with that being said, most people don't like to just sit on their couch all the time. They're looking for something to do, someplace to go, someplace to take their kids, you know, like, hey, let's get out of the house for a little bit. And I'm always, you know, pulling my family out of the house, like, hey, let's go somewhere, let's do something. I just recently brought my 6-year-old to watch a movie, and he absolutely loved it. And seeing that look on his face reminded me of when I was a child. He was like literally sitting there like Indian style in the seat, like white knuckling the handrail. We're watching Bad Guys. I mean, it's just this cartoon, and he was so completely engrossed in it. And it was just like seeing that, and like this kid's gonna love this too, like just like I do, and just watching, you know, building that experience for people. That to me that's my favorite part of the job.
That is so cool. That is so cool. Well, you've made me really want to head into the theater. So before we head into the theater, I've been specially tasked to ask you one question by Dalton, our creative director here. What is your favorite movie snack?
My favorite movie snack? Yeah. Well, mine's I like Sour Patch Kids.
Really?
I really do. I like Sour Patch Kids, Mike and Ike's, and peanut M&Ms.
Oh yeah.
I'm a candy guy when it comes to watching my movies. So most people choose popcorn.
Yeah, that's me. I'm a popcorn guy. I'm pretty bare bones.
People love our popcorn. You would not believe the amount of to-go popcorn that we.
You know what?
I like so much to-go popcorn.
I had never heard of that. My mom gets it from here. My mom will stop on the way back home from work and get like a to-go popcorn.
We have sometimes a few dozen people a day stop by for to-go popcorn. Absolutely.
Wow. And you can't really replicate that at home either. You know,
No. It's our special proprietary blend.
100%. Yeah. Yes, herbs and spices, all that. Yeah, all that.
No, we just we movie theater style popcorn, and you know, we'd like to think that we're pretty good at it. So most people tend to agree. So
so they take it home. Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, let's go ahead and
let's make some.
Make some popcorn right here.
Absolutely.
And we'll head into the theater.
Absolutely. Sounds great.
So we're here in one of the theaters here. Well, is this, what would you call this?
This is Auditorium 2.
An auditorium, okay.
Screen 2, Auditorium 2, House 2. That's about anything.
Any kind of big room 2.
Absolutely.
So I've been wanting to know for a long time, as a cinema owner, where's the best place to sit in an auditorium?
I usually try to sit fairly center. If I have my pick of any seat, I'm going to be about midway back, fairly centered. If you know, too far back, you know, you're just too far back, you know, whatever, you know, or if you're right on the very front row like we are now, then you're looking left to right to, you know, see the whole screen. So, because it is a big screen, you know, so I think someplace. For me, this might sound lazy, but someplace I don't have to move my head much, but I can still, you know, kind of take it all in one frame. You know? So that's kind of optimal seating for me.
I always say you can tell a lot about somebody by where they choose to sit in a movie theater, and I normally don't say that, but I'm going to start saying that from now on.
There you go. Sometimes And like where I sit in each movie theater will depend on like which screen I'm in. Some of them I actually like to sit on the side and catch the side angle view.
Just highly depends. I'm sure it depends on
the movie, the auditorium. I don't know. So I don't know if there's any one right or wrong answer. So
it's just how you like to enjoy your movie.
Absolutely.
Well, I know. When we were talking before we shot, allowing people to enjoy movies is very close to your heart, right? How important has that been to keep the movie experience accessible to people? And I remember me growing up, I remember it allowed us to come to the movies almost every week, where the prices were 100% reasonable, and it really made movies accessible for us. How important has that been for you?
Well, first of all, this theater this theater ran for many years before we came, and it had gone out of business. And I think that coming in, like changing the pricing structure and stuff, because when we came in, we actually didn't change very much right off the get-go. We've done a lot since then. We've put in these seats, we've put in digital equipment, we've done, a ton of upgrades over the years. But when we first reopened the theater, we were only competing based on price. We were showing new movies, of course, because we always show first-run shows. But, finding your, so for us, we competed on a basis of price point, and just trying to make it to where people, like you said, could afford to come. So I think just making it accessible to people in general has definitely been one of our goals, and this is near and dear to our heart. Growing up, we grew up, we were very poor growing up, and whether it was going out to the movies or going to a restaurant, it was a very, very big deal for us when I was a child. Mm-hmm. So making it to where people can have that experience with their kids without breaking the bank and without having to worry about like, oh, how much am I going to spend? Just making it comfortable for people to do. And my thought was, if you make it affordable for people, they'll come more often. Mm-hmm. And that has absolutely been the case. Based on the demographics of this region and the traffic flow that we have on a normal annual year, the community is very supportive of our mission.
Yes. Well, and I know the community sincerely appreciates the effort to make this kind of entertainment accessible to everybody. I mean, you even got a key to the city, right?
I did. Mayor Dykes presented us to a key to a city we had our 10-year anniversary back March 2nd. We did this huge thing. We actually, for our anniversary, we threw a big community party. And of course, we do lots of community involvement things. So I think the key wasn't necessarily for the event that we did on the 2nd, but more of, the things that we've done over the years, which at least that's the way I'd like to interpret it. But yes. It was such an honor. It was very unexpected. Do you know what we have in common with Spider-Man? It's like we both got keys to the city, like the only thing is like he swung in and got his, and then had some big epic fight with the villain, and like we just handed us ours, But it was such an honor to receive that. It's one of the coolest things I've ever gotten in my entire life. Absolutely.
Well, I think it just goes to show. I mean, and I can't think of any other. I think it's well deserved. I mean, because thinking back on just how many great memories, not only me, but my friends, my family all have here in this theater. It really is a community staple here.
Absolutely. That's very intentional. We're like keeping it family oriented and just friendly. I mean, like obviously there's rated R movies that come and go and whatnot, but gearing it towards families, just the accessibility. That's what it's been about from day one.
Something I do want to kind of touch on is kind of with that whole wave of COVID, one of the main things you heard was this is going to be really hard on cinemas and theaters.
Oh, it was terrible.
Well, yeah. What did it look like coming out of that?
Well, from a financial standpoint, we lost a ton. It was very touch and go for a while, but again, the community was very supportive of us in any way that they could be. So of course, for a while, there was simply no movies. It's like if you had a restaurant and they said, well, you can reopen your restaurant now, but you can't serve whatever your main staple is. Like you can only serve, cold food, like that was kind of the equivalent, because Hollywood was shut down, production of films had stopped. So there was no content, even when we were allowed to reopen. There was no new content. So, so everything was just so thin and so far spaced, that it just wasn't sustainable. So it was touch and go for a while. It was, not going to sugarcoat it. It was a terrible time for us. It was very stressful, but we really, my whole team pulled together. It wasn't just me. Like, we have the whole team really pulled together. I mean, because we were open, we were closed, we were open, we were closed, and the team stuck with me through it. So that tells you a lot about the people that I work with too. It's the group effort and just the team. It was very touching, actually. But we did drive-through popcorn.
Yes.
We did and that's actually how we paid our utility bills, because we were selling popcorn. We sold $5 buckets of popcorn, like, to go, and so you got people out there with like masks and gloves and running in and out of the theater, and people just pulling up in their cars, and again, the community was very, very supportive of that. When we were finally able to reopen, we actually did some outdoor movie events. We actually borrowed a private blow-up inflatable screen. I don't actually have one, so I actually borrowed one from somebody, and we showed. We bought rights to older movies, and we did some outdoor movie events, and those were very well received. The only problem we ran into with that was it started to get late in the season. It started getting cold, so that kind of was that kind of put an end to that when it got too cold to do that. So, but it was a bring your own chair event.
Yes, BYOC.
BYOC, and it was so cool because we actually blocked off a section of the parking lot, and people actually lined up their vehicles on the sides, and so you had all these like tailgate parties essentially, and we actually showed them for free. I think we showed most of those for free, but we set up donation buckets.
Wow.
So people would actually, and people were very generous because they wanted to keep the theater around as much as I feel like the community wanted it to be successful as much as I did. And so while it was touch and go, it was tight. We were supported by the community. Absolutely.
Wow, that is so cool. That is so neat. And then so now, kind of moving out of that kind of dark cloud and things of COVID, how are things looking for the future? What are some things that we're looking forward to in the future?
Well, there's movies now, so that's a big deal, and it actually took a while for movies to catch up because filming and production had stopped. So even once COVID had started to die down, it wasn't like immediately, oh, here's big movies. But like when the most recent Spider-Man movie was our first, December of last year was the first month since COVID started that we actually hit our targets for the month.
Wow.
So we actually cash flowed. That was our first month cash flowing. It was so exciting. And that was because of Spider-Man. But that also told me that people are ready to come back out. People are ready to get out. People are looking for entertainment. They're looking to, they want to get out and have experiences. They want to have group experiences. People enjoy the experience of getting the popcorn and the candy and bringing their family and watching little kids watch these movies for the first time and having their little minds blown by this epic big, movie on this big screen. It's something that, while there's more at-home options now, theatrical releases are becoming a thing again. Because I think from the studio's perspective, and if something that they take this, $200 million project and you can just watch it at home with your streaming service, that's not a good financial model for the studios either. So the theatrical release, I don't think is going anywhere. The theatrical release windows have shortened, and I think that's going to be the new normal. But the actual theatrical release, I think, is going to stick around.
Yes. Well, I find it interesting too. I think it may be one of those things to where, as you appreciate the magic of going to the theater or the cinema when you're told that you can't go. And I think I think for me, I know there is just something different about setting the time aside, getting out of your comfy clothes and putting on something that you can go out in public and go and watch a movie. I think that's really
absolutely
cool. And I know that's something that you had briefly mentioned was you actually have an ability like through a membership or something like that.
Yeah, actually we do. We actually have a membership program. That's one of the things that makes our theater unique is you can actually do like a monthly subscription for your movie tickets, and then you can come watch as many movies as you want.
Oh, that is so
and that's available. There's links to that on our website, so you can, I think npcinema4.com.
Okay.
And you can go there, and there's all the information for that.
You just do like a subscription.
But yeah, you can actually do a subscription. So if you subscribe to the movies, no matter what comes out, like you're going to pay your monthly subscription. You can come as many times or as few times as you want each month. And you also get discounts on your concessions with your subscription. So
that is very cool.
If you're a big movie goer, it's a great thing for
that is
people,
awesome.
So.
I don't know if you could hear it, but Dalton's jaw just hit the floor because that's his favorite. For a movie person, that's 100%. He's a very much movie person, so I could see him doing that. I think it's great that you were able to make it through those hard times with COVID, not only for the business itself and everybody that you employ, but I think for the community, because I really do think it means so much to the community.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I definitely think it's a staple of the community. Communities need places to go, so I think it's. I'm glad we're still here too.
Yes, yeah, I'm sure you are. Yeah, more than anybody. But I do have one favor to ask. I would love to go upstairs, and I've heard you have a really cool movie memorabilia collection.
Yes.
And I also have always wanted to know what a movie projector looks like.
Well, I can absolutely show you that.
All right.
We can head upstairs. We take a look at all that.
Awesome. Let's do it. Cool. Okay, so we are up here. What would you call this area? Projector room?
This is the projection booth. Yes.
Projection booth. All right, and this is where the movies come from?
This is where the magic happens. So right now we're actually downloading, this is Top Gun. This is a hard drive for Top Gun.
Wow.
We're actually downloading it to our server right here. And then the server communicates this panel over here. It's called the IMB. And then all the magic that happens inside, and you get your light to the screen. So you got a touch control panel right here. We actually program these. So you don't have to actually come up and manually start it each time. We download the movie, we program the movies, and then it'll start at the correct time throughout the day.
Oh, wow. So you be like a movie at 3 o'clock, and then this will automatically play at 3 o'clock?
It does more than that. It does, but it'll actually, it'll run your pre-shows and stuff. It'll control your lights up, lights down, your sound volume. You can program it to do all sorts of amazing things.
Wow, that is so cool. And then so over there, is that audio? Is that what
this is our sound rack right here. So we got the amps and processors.
Wow. Like and then that big old thing is
this is a vent. So the projectors actually, the bulbs arc really hot. So around 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit, but the light engine itself has to run below 99 degrees Fahrenheit. So there's a lot of fans. That's why it's so loud up here. Each of these projectors has like fan packs all over the place, and then a big exhaust fan up in the roof, and
so you have to take it from 10,000 to 99 degrees.
The bulb's arcing, is really super hot. But then in the front of the projector, it has to be running below 99 degrees.
Wow.
So there's a lot of airflow just because that ambient heat from that bulb is so hot. So we're trying to, a huge part of this is just cooling.
That is so cool. And then, so this is obviously all digital.
Yes.
When did you guys switch to digital?
2013, fall of 2013.
Wow.
So had been in business about a year and a half when we actually made the changeover.
And does that make a big difference going from the film to digital?
Oh, absolutely. Labor-wise, the biggest thing is it's a higher quality for our clients. Mm-hmm. So you're gonna have consistent quality from the first show to the last show, and actual film deteriorates with use. So if something happens and a piece of film gets scratched in your first show, every show that you show after that's gonna have a scratch in it, regardless. And that's the thing that problem is gone. Now there's other different problems, of course. Mm-hmm. Like everything's But
that is so neat. That is very cool. Very cool. Okay, so this is the 35 mil you said?
This is a 35 millimeter projector. This is a Century projector head, Century sound head, and then this is the old lamp house. So these projectors are essentially three separate pieces.
Oh, okay, okay. So the film would come through here.
The film would actually come through. The sound is actually built into the film, and there's a red light reader down here that actually reads your sound. So you actually have about a foot of film between the audio and what you're actually seeing. So those have to be offset and compensated for. So, but anyway, so this is what the inside of an old 35 millimeter projector looks like. It's a bunch of different gates, open and close, and this is a ton of different stuff, adjustments and stuff.
Wow.
But this is how film was.
All the way up until you switched.
2013.
2013.
I was using these in 2013 for most of the year, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, we got digital. Our first digital movie was actually Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 and Gravity, I believe.
Wow. And then, but up until then, so like even huge big blockbusters, everything.
Oh yeah, like when the Twilight came out, like that's what I showed. I was showing it on these projectors.
Wow. Wow. That is so cool. That is so cool. So speaking of old time, nostalgia, I want to check out these movie memorabilia.
Absolutely.
Check those out?
Absolutely. Right. Let's do it.
So now we are here in Command Central, right?
Yes, this is the office. This is
high above the movie theater.
Absolutely. Amazingly, we spend very little time up here.
Oh, I could imagine, especially with everything going on.
Absolutely. We try to stay very hands-on.
Yes. Well, and you can feel that all throughout the theater. Absolutely. It's definitely, you can feel the passion. And then I think the passion also translates to this. This is not the entire collection. This is
a very small part.
A very select
tiny sliver but
of some of the cool
stuff. Some of our fun pieces.
Of what I would imagine to be one of the best parts about being involved in the movie industry would be all these cool pieces of memorabilia. So
yeah, so my wife won't actually let me bring any more home unless they're super cool. She'll make exceptions sometimes. But so I have countered by starting collections at both of our theater locations. So yes. These are just a few of our pieces that we pulled off for fun. These are some popcorn containers. You got Baby Groot there, and it's obviously
got a hollow head.
Yeah, and then you got your Spider-Man popcorn cool. tub. I think these are both 85 ounce. Then here you got a Star Wars Death Star popcorn container. Cool. One of my favorites that we've ever had was actually the lightsaber drink cups.
Oh, so, wow.
And you see
that is really neat. And then I could only imagine, I would imagine these were not fun to fill up and refill, right?
They were definitely challenging.
You got like a lid here.
Elisa's over there nodding. Yeah, so she remembers.
And it looks like they don't hold that much liquid.
They, 24 or 32 ounces.
Oh,
it's actually a decent amount.
Yeah.
So, and then I've got, light side and dark side both, and then just so many different things, but just to choose a few, these are kind of some of the cool ones we got.
Do you see one whenever they come in and you're like, oh, I'm going to have to add that to my collection? Is that kind of how it goes? Like you see a Spider-Man head, you're like.
So the policy, we actually have a policy here that every box of new promotional stuff that we get, one automatically has to be brought upstairs for my collection. Doesn't matter what it is. I have one of literally everything, and in some cases two, three. So
yeah. Well, that is so neat.
And hundreds.
I can only imagine I'm sure you get connected to some of them more than others too.
I actually met the guy that runs the company that makes these.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah, actually out in where was I? I was out west. So,
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're like, oh, are you the guy that makes the lightsaber cups?
He took us to dinner.
Whoa.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So
that is very cool. But
he runs the company that makes a lot of the promotional stuff and whatnot. Yes. So we'll get catalogs and stuff, and then we'll order in what we can. And of course, we're big movie nerds here, so anything that's fun or movie, like the Thor's hammer behind you there.
This ginormous hammer. We'll have to get some B-roll of that to cut it over.
Alicia got that for me. Yeah, so this is and at her house she's got a life-size Deadpool.
Oh, no way. That is cool. Yeah. I think doing things like that helps. I mean, it makes everyone realize how cool this industry is and how fun it is for everybody involved.
Well, the idea for me has always been that people come here to be entertained. They come here to have a good time. So we should be having a good time. And if we're having a good time being here, then that overflows. This is part of the customer service experience. Like, I want to be here, and I want my team to want to be here. And when my team wants to be here and we're having fun or whatever, then then hopefully that transfers.
Everybody else feels it all the way down the line. Well, that is awesome. That is awesome. Well, I have felt that today, and I really appreciate you having us. And I look forward to coming back and seeing many movies in the future.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys being here today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you. A huge thank you to Brandon and his team here at Newport Cinema 4 for having us today. If you're looking for a great place to have some fun with your family, whether it's sunny outside or maybe a little bit gloomy, this is the perfect place to be. Once again, I'm Rob Mathis with Smoky Mountain Secrets. Make sure to check the description below for links to the subscription service here or even the website for Newport Cinema 4. I look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Thanks for watching.